Omega Protocol, Chapter 1, The Galactic Crucible. The year is 2452, 1,000 years since humans first ventured beyond Earth's cradle. 1,000 years of spreading across the stars, reaching out with eager hands and curious minds. 1,000 years of building, creating, and expanding. But even in this vast, glittering expanse of star systems and nebulae, humanity was not alone. The galaxy was a teeming tapestry of life, a symphony of alien cultures, each with its unique melodies and rhythms. And at the heart of this symphony was the Galactic Council, a coalition of ancient and powerful races who held sway over the known universe. On the fringes of this galactic empire, tucked away on a lonely asteroid orbiting a dying star, Dr. Thorne sat hunched over a console. His eyes, red-rimmed from fatigue, scanned the complex diagrams and equations that danced across the screen. The hum of machinery filled the air, punctuated by the occasional hiss of coolant or the sharp beep of a sensor. Thorne was a brilliant physicist, but his genius was often overshadowed by his demons. He was haunted by the ghosts of his past, tormented by a deep-seated fear for humanity's future. He had seen the Council's growing suspicion, their thinly veiled contempt for the upstart humans who dared to challenge their dominance. He knew deep down that humanity's days of peaceful expansion were numbered, that the Council, with its vast fleets and advanced technology, would soon move to crush the human spirit, to extinguish their spark of hope. And so Thorne had dedicated his life to a desperate gamble, a secret weapon hidden within the heart of this desolate outpost, a weapon of unimaginable power, a last resort against the looming threat, a weapon he called Omega. Meanwhile, light years away in the opulent halls of the Council chambers, High Executor Colaris paced like a caged predator. His elongated form cast menacing shadows on the polished obsidian floor, his 6 eyes gleaming with a cold, calculating light. "The humans grow bolder with each passing day," he hissed, his voice a rasping whisper. "Their expansion knows no bounds. Their ambition knows no limits. They are a cancer, a blight upon the galaxy." His advisors, a motley collection of alien dignitaries, nodded in agreement, their eyes filled with fear and envy. They had all witnessed humanity's rise, their meteoric ascent from a primitive species to a galactic power. "We cannot allow them to continue unchecked," one advisor chirped, his insectoid mandibles clicking nervously. "They are a threat to our order, to our very existence." Colaris smiled, a cruel, predatory grin that sent shivers down the spines of his advisors. "Indeed," he purred, "the time has come to act. The time has come to unleash the Omega Protocol." Chapter 2, Whispers of Conspiracy. The parchment was coarse beneath Thorne's fingers, the ink a deep crimson against the pale fibers. The words, hastily scrawled, sent shivers down his spine. "They know," the message read. "The fleet is coming. It's too late." A warning from within the very council he served, a council that had long ago deemed humanity a blight to be purged. Thorne paced his workshop, the cold metal of Omega gleaming under the dim lights. The secret weapon, a beacon of hope he'd painstakingly crafted, was now their only salvation. Its completion was still days away, and the extermination fleet, he knew, was already on its way. His hand trembled as he reached for a communicator, his voice barely a whisper. "Maya," he said, the name of his trusted confidant echoing in the small space. "We need to accelerate the Omega project. Time is running out." The screen flickered to life, revealing Maya's concerned face. "Thorne, what's wrong? Your voice—" "I have received a warning," he interrupted, the urgency clear in his tone. "They're coming sooner than we anticipated." Maya's eyes widened. "But that's impossible. The fleet's mobilization was scheduled for next month." "Plans have changed," Thorne replied grimly. "We're their next target." The line fell silent, the weight of the impending doom hanging heavy in the air. After a moment, Maya spoke, her voice resolute. "I'll alert the resistance. We need to prepare for the worst." Thorne nodded, a sense of dread settling in his stomach. The Council, once a beacon of order and justice, had become a tyrannical regime, their lust for power blinding them to the value of life. He'd seen firsthand the atrocities they were capable of, the ruthless extermination of entire colonies deemed unworthy of existence. As he turned back to Omega, the machine hummed softly, its intricate mechanisms a testament to his ingenuity. The Council sought to eradicate humanity, to cleanse the galaxy of what they considered a disease. But Thorne refused to let them succeed. Days blurred into nights as Thorne and Maya worked tirelessly, the resistance rallying around them, their determination fueled by the impending threat. They fortified their defenses, stockpiling supplies, and training for the inevitable battle. The air crackled with tension as the extermination fleet drew closer, their ominous shadow looming over the once peaceful skies. Thorne's heart pounded in his chest, his resolve unwavering. He'd protect his people, no matter the cost. The final piece of Omega clicked into place, the machine whirring to life, its energy pulsating through the workshop. Thorne's eyes met Maya's, a silent understanding passing between them. They were ready. As the extermination fleet descended upon their world, a wave of dread washed over Thorne. The battle for humanity's survival had begun. Chapter 3, The Catalyst Unleashed. The sky erupted in a blinding flash, the tranquil blue replaced by the fiery hues of explosions. Thorne watched in horror as the Council's fleet rained destruction upon their world, their sleek warships unleashing a torrent of laser fire that tore through buildings and vaporized entire city blocks. Screams echoed through the streets as people fled for their lives, their terror palpable in the air. "This is madness," Maya whispered, her voice trembling as she clutched Thorne's arm. Thorne's heart ached at the sight of his world crumbling around him, his people suffering at the hands of the Council's merciless aggression. But amidst the despair, a steely resolve hardened within him. "It's time," he said, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. "The Omega Protocol." Maya's eyes widened, a flicker of fear mixed with determination in her gaze. "Are you sure, Thorne? There's no turning back." Thorne nodded, his jaw set. "It's our only hope." Together they descended into the depths of Omega's chamber, the air thick with the hum of energy. The machine stood before them, its metallic form pulsating with power, its potential for destruction both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Thorne reached out, his fingers tracing the intricate patterns etched into Omega's surface. "This is it," he murmured, his voice heavy with the weight of his decision. He activated the Omega Protocol, the chamber filling with a blinding light as the machine roared to life. A wave of energy surged through the world, enveloping the Council's fleet in a blinding cocoon. Thorne closed his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable. When he opened them, the world was silent. The explosions had ceased, the sky returning to a clear, starry expanse. Maya gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. "They're gone," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Thorne scanned the horizon, his heart pounding in his chest. The Council's warships, once a menacing presence, were nowhere to be seen. Only smoldering wreckage and debris remained, a testament to the devastating power of Omega. A wave of relief washed over Thorne, followed by a surge of triumph. They had done it. They had defied the Council, shattered their arrogance, and protected their people. News of their victory spread like wildfire, igniting a spark of hope in the hearts of oppressed colonies across the galaxy. The Council, once thought invincible, had been forced to retreat, their reputation tarnished, their power diminished. Thorne stood amidst the ruins of his world, his heart heavy with the loss of so many lives, yet filled with a newfound determination. The battle was far from over, but they had proven that humanity would not be extinguished without a fight. They would rise from the ashes, stronger and more united than ever before. The Council's reign of terror was over, and a new era of hope had begun. Chapter 4. A New Dawn. Word of Omega's activation and the Council's retreat spread like wildfire across the galaxy, igniting a spark of hope in the hearts of countless oppressed beings. The once silent whispers of rebellion now echoed through the stars, growing louder and more defiant with each passing day. Thorne found himself at the center of this burgeoning movement, his name whispered in hushed tones as a symbol of resistance. He received messages from far-flung corners of the galaxy, pleas for guidance, for leadership, for hope. "We heard what you did," a holographic message from a draconian resistance leader crackled to life before him. "You showed us that the Council is not invincible. We are ready to fight, but we need your help." Thorne looked into the eyes of the draconian, seeing the same determination and defiance that had fueled his own fight. "We are all connected," he replied, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Council's tyranny has touched us all. It is time we unite and break their chains." And so Thorne became the unlikely leader of a diverse coalition of races, each with their own grievances against the Council, their own dreams of a better future. He met with representatives from across the galaxy, forging alliances and coordinating efforts to undermine the Council's grip on power. "We cannot defeat the Council with violence alone," Thorne argued during a tense meeting with a group of elven diplomats. "We must also win the hearts and minds of their people, expose their lies, and offer a vision of a galaxy where all beings are treated with dignity and respect." The elven leader nodded, her eyes filled with admiration. "You are wise beyond your years, Thorne. We are honored to stand with you." The Council, meanwhile, scrambled to contain the growing rebellion. Their once unified front was fractured, their confidence shaken. Debates raged within their ranks, with some advocating for a swift and brutal crackdown, while others argued for a more diplomatic approach. "We cannot allow this uprising to continue," a council elder thundered, his voice booming through the grand chamber. "We must show these insurgents the consequences of defying our authority." A younger counselor stepped forward, his voice calm but resolute. "Violence will only fuel their anger and drive more into their ranks. We must offer them concessions, appease their grievances, and regain their trust." The debate raged on, the council's unity crumbling with each passing moment. Thorne watched these developments with a sense of grim satisfaction, knowing that the seeds of discord he had sown were bearing fruit. The rebellion grew stronger with each passing day, their ranks swelling with new recruits, their resolve hardened by the shared dream of a better future. Thorne knew the path ahead would be long and arduous, filled with setbacks and sacrifices. But he also knew that they were fighting for something worth fighting for: the freedom to live, to love, to thrive, not as subjects of a tyrannical regime, but as citizens of a galaxy united in peace and harmony. A new dawn was breaking, and Thorne was determined to lead his people into the light. Chapter 5. The Council's Reckoning. A vast armada of rebel ships filled the sky, a kaleidoscope of colors and designs, each representing a different race united under a common banner. Thorne stood at the helm of his flagship, the Omega's Eye, his gaze fixed on the Council's stronghold looming in the distance, a monolithic structure of steel and glass, a symbol of their power and oppression. "All ships, prepare for assault," Thorne's voice boomed through the comm system, his tone unwavering. The rebel fleet surged forward, a wave of defiance crashing against the Council's defenses. Laser fire streaked across the void, the deafening roar of battle echoing through the stars. Thorne's ship weaved through the chaos, its agile maneuvers dodging enemy fire while returning volley after volley. "Captain Thorne," Maya's voice crackled over the comm, a hint of worry in her tone. "The Council's defenses are stronger than we anticipated." "We knew this wouldn't be easy," Thorne replied, his grip tightening on the controls. "But we will not falter. We will not fail." He led the Omega's Eye on a daring attack run, targeting the Council's central command tower. The ship's cannons roared, sending a barrage of energy bolts that ripped through the tower's shields and shattered its reinforced hull. Thorne felt a surge of adrenaline as the tower began to crumble, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. On the ground, rebel forces fought tooth and nail against the Council's elite guard. Thorne watched on the view screen as a group of draconian warriors breached the Council's inner sanctum, their roars echoing through the corridors. "The Council chambers are compromised," a draconian commander reported. "We've cornered Colaris and his inner circle." Thorne felt a surge of anticipation. The moment of reckoning had arrived. "Apprehend them," he ordered, "but do not harm them. They will answer for their crimes." The draconians stormed the Council chambers, their weapons drawn. Thorne watched as Colaris, the Council's arrogant leader, was disarmed and restrained, his face pale with fear and disbelief. "This is not over," Colaris spat, his voice laced with venom. "You cannot defy the natural order. Humanity will be eradicated." Thorne stepped onto the bridge of the Omega's Eye, his gaze fixed on the captured counselors. Your reign of terror is over, Colaris, he declared, his voice amplified across the battlefield. The galaxy will no longer tolerate your oppression. The Council, defeated and humiliated, was forced to negotiate. They agreed to dismantle the Omega Protocol, withdraw their forces from occupied territories, and recognize the autonomy of all sentient beings. The war was over, and a new era of peace and cooperation had begun. Thorne stood on the steps of the Council's former stronghold, now a symbol of their liberation. He looked out at the cheering crowds, a sea of diverse faces united in their newfound freedom. He had led them to victory, but he knew the real work was just beginning. "We have won a great victory," he addressed the crowd, his voice echoing across the plaza. "But our journey has just begun. We must rebuild what was destroyed, heal the wounds of war, and forge a new path forward together." The crowd roared in approval, their cheers filling the air with a symphony of hope and unity. Thorne smiled, his heart filled with gratitude and optimism. The galaxy had been forever changed, and he knew that the future, though uncertain, was bright with promise. Chapter 6. Forging a New Path. The council chambers, once a symbol of oppression, now echoed with the voices of diverse delegates. Thorne sat at the head of the table, surrounded by leaders from across the galaxy, humans, draconians, elves, and countless others. "We have inherited a broken system," Thorne addressed the assembly, his voice resonating with both gravity and hope. "A system built on fear, division, and exploitation. It is our duty to forge a new path, one based on unity, cooperation, and mutual respect." The chamber buzzed with murmurs of agreement. A draconian delegate rose, his scales shimmering in the soft light. "The Council's reign of terror has taught us the importance of solidarity. We must never forget the lessons of the past." A human delegate, a survivor of one of the Council's attacks, nodded solemnly. "We have endured great suffering, but our spirit remains unbroken. We are ready to rebuild, not just for ourselves, but for all those who have been oppressed." The discussions that followed were intense and passionate, yet always respectful. Thorne listened intently to each delegate, carefully weighing their concerns and aspirations. They debated the structure of a new galactic government, the fair distribution of resources, and the protection of individual rights. "We must ensure that all voices are heard," Thorne insisted. "The mistakes of the past cannot be repeated. We must build a truly inclusive society where every being has a say in their future." The delegates worked tirelessly, their shared goal a beacon guiding their efforts. They drafted a new constitution, one that enshrined the principles of equality, justice, and self-determination. They established a council of representatives drawn from all corners of the galaxy to ensure that decisions were made collectively and transparently. Word of these developments spread throughout the galaxy, inspiring hope and optimism. Planets once ravaged by war began to heal, their cities rebuilt, their fields replanted. Trade routes reopened, connecting distant worlds and fostering cultural exchange. Humanity, once ostracized and hunted, now took its rightful place as a respected member of the galactic community. Their resilience and courage in the face of adversity had earned them the admiration of their former oppressors. Thorne watched as children of different races played together in a newly constructed park, their laughter echoing through the once silent streets. He saw former enemies working side by side, their shared purpose transcending their differences. He felt a swell of pride in his heart, knowing that he had played a part in creating this brighter future. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with pain and loss. But through it all, the human spirit had triumphed, proving that even the darkest night could be followed by a new dawn. The scars of the past would never fully fade, but they would serve as a reminder of the importance of unity, compassion, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. As Thorne looked out at the stars, he knew that the galaxy was on the cusp of a new era, one defined by hope, cooperation, and the boundless potential of all sentient beings. The legacy of the Council's tyranny would not be forgotten, but it would be overshadowed by the enduring legacy of human resilience and the power of collective action. The galaxy had awakened, and its future was limitless.